the most unusual temples from around the globe. You won't believe these amazing places.
Karnak Egypt. Rome wasn't built in a day, and Karnak certainly wasn't either. It took around 1,500 years to complete, and when you look at the sheer scale of it, it becomes clear why it took so long. Karnak is the largest ancient religious site in the world and one of the most visited tourist locations in Egypt. It has avenues of sphinxes and an obelisk that reaches 97 feet high and weighs 323 tons. It consists of 3 main temples. The most famous is Hypostyle Hall, which is constructed from 134 60-foot-high columns that are 10 feet wide. How did they even lift that? Remember, this was built long before cranes.
If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss an upload.
Wat Arun Thailand. This is one of the most well-known tourist-frequented temples, and it was completed in 2008. Also called the White Temple, it's a complete mastery in white, honoring the purity of Buddha. Apart from it being entirely white, its distinct style and symbolism stands out, as it's dedicated to samsara, the Buddhist cycle of birth and then death due to delusion and fixation on the self. It focuses on the rather modern theme of materialism, showing a predator struggling to free itself from the ground. Murals feature aliens as well as an elaborate mural of Neo from the Matrix movies. Even Superman makes an appearance. The temple was funded by private funder and Thai artist, who raised the funds by selling his paintings. Construction began in 1977, and although the temple was opened, work continues to this day. In 2014, a devastating earthquake damaged the temple, but the damage has been repaired, and the temple returned to its former glory. Dongyu Temple, China. Throughout the year, you can catch a blessing ceremony or a blessing festival in full swing at Dongyu Temple, along with a stark reminder of what will happen if you sin. The Tao Temple dates to 1319 and is one of the largest temples in Beijing. It contains the temple and a museum and a blessing road to walk, and a main yard you enter by following Happiness Road. There are 2 glorious pavilions built as memorials to 2 of the Qing dynasty emperors, so all seems peaceful. Until you hit the 72 small rooms display.
This is where it becomes clear what the temple is named after. You see, Dongyu is the one responsible for administering the affairs of the 18 layers of hell and all 72 departments. Each of the 72 rooms depicts various levels of hell. For example, the Department of Pity and Sympathy is a room filled with clay statues of beggars awaiting their appeal. The most packed room is the Department for Accumulating Wealth.
If the brightly colored and terrifying statues in each of the 72 departments disturb you, then it is customary to leave behind a donation for Dongyu to ensure you stay in his good books. Sri Ranganathaswamy Temple, India. This temple is the largest in India, spanning an area of 156 acres dedicated to Vishnu. The temple can be found in Tamil Nadu, and it's one of the most important Vishnu temples in the world. The temple complex is made of 21 towers, with the main tower made entirely of gold. The towers range in height, with the highest and most colorful reaching 236 feet. The architecture follows the Dravidian style. The temple contains many ancient inscriptions in many languages, from Sanskrit, Telugu, Oriya, Marathi, and Kannada, as well as the more common Tamil. There are over 800 inscriptions that give new information about the religions and social influences during the medieval era. Cugino, Jizo, Japan. Cugino means nail pulling, but thankfully this isn't a temple where a form of torture was carried out, but rather a sign of atonement. The legend goes that a merchant living near the temple in the 1500s suffered terrible pains in his hands. He prayed to the god Bodhisattva Jizo for insight into his ailment. Bodhisattva Jizo told him that in a past life the man had pierced an effigy of a man he hated, driving nails through his hands, and so now he was paying for his sin. As a sign of atonement, the merchant left a collection of nails and a pair of pliers at the temple.
Word spread, and those suffering from aches and pains came to the temple to offer pliers and nails to the gods that dwell there. The walls are now lined with these offerings, a rather unconventional decorative covering.
Monkey Temple, Nepal. You've probably already seen visuals of this temple or the stairway to get there without realizing it. The 365 steep steps up to the temple alone make it infamous, as getting to the top is quite a spiritual pilgrimage of mind over matter for many. When at the top, you are greeted with a vibrant, ancient temple complex dating back to the 5th century. It's ornately decorated with gold and vibrant prayer flags. The sacred pilgrimage site is also home to other holy visitors, the hundreds of monkeys that are revered by the Tibetan Buddhists and Hindus. Legend tells of the Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom, who was raising the hill the temple stands on, when lice in his hair transformed into these sacred monkeys. The temple's name means self-arisen, and is inspired by this legend of Manjushri and the monkeys. Huashan Temple Tea House, China. This is not a quick stop at a corner coffee shop for a cup of substandard tea. This is one of the most dangerous hikes to the top of Mount Hua for tea made from melted snow. Xi'an is one of the most visited tourist areas of China. It's where the famous Terracotta Army are located and boasts many large pagodas and is known for its fine cuisine. But outside the main city, the attractions continue into the Qinling mountain range. Within the mountain range is the ancient Taoist and Buddhist temple of Huashan on the mountain of the same name. The temple sits on the southernmost peak of the mountain and has been converted into a tea house for those daring enough to make the trek. The altitude alone will make your head spin, 7,000 feet above sea level, reached by a 2-hour hike on foot from Xi'an. First, you will need to face the heavenly stairs, which is far from a divine experience, as safety gear is highly recommended. These stairs are carved into the mountain and are a shallow and extremely steep step to tread. There is no guardrail, and the drop-off is thousands of feet straight down. Higher up the mountain, you need to cross sections of the sheer cliff face balancing on narrow wooden planks. If you survive this, and the tea still seems appealing, you will then slot your feet into footholds chiseled into the sheer rock face, with only a chain bolted into the cliff to hang on to.
Once up, the tea is said to be sublime, although perhaps after all you went through to get to it, it can taste nothing but life-changing. The death-defying tea is made from pristine water from snowmelt, mountain peak rain, and mountain springs. Now what comes up must come down, and that means the same way you go up is the same way you go down, squeezing narrowly past those still on the ascent, all in the name of tea.
Awashima Jinja, Japan. Japanese culture embraces dolls in many ways. They're not just a child's plaything. Dolls are used in ceremonies and rituals for prayer and purification. They are also given as gifts to everyone, from people of status to a newborn baby. They are sacred and treasured items in a home, and it's important dolls are disposed of in an honorable fashion, as it's believed they might come back to haunt the family if not. Women who go to the shrine at Awashina Jinja to pray for fertility and health often take dolls their daughters have outgrown and leave them there. The practice has left thousands of dolls, statues, and figurines around the temple, a slightly unnerving sight to behold when you see thousands of motionless dolls staring back at you. Some dolls are thought to be lost human souls, so for that reason the priests treat them with great respect. Once they have prayed and absolved the sins of the dolls, they are given to the fires in a ceremonial funeral. We did warn you, this is a list of the most unusual temples from around the globe. Tanah Lot, Indonesia. Tanah Lot is a Hindu shrine with a slimy backstory. According to the legend, Tanah Lot was built by Dongyang Narartha, a Hindu wanderer. While he was building it on this small rocky island outcrop off the coast of Bali, the local king became jealous and wanted to get rid of him. The king put a lot of pressure on him, and when he couldn't hold out anymore, he then turned his shawl into sea snakes and made them protectors of the temple when he had to leave.
The snakes remain the guardians to this day, and the silver and black sea snakes have a potentially deadly bite. It is not an easy temple to visit safely. The sea is also eroding the ocean rock base it stands upon, and restoration efforts have been attempted to save the remaining rock by adding fake rock. Have you been lucky enough to visit any of these temples? Which one would you go to first? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below.
1. Ancient Siam, Thailand. This is an incredible feat of architecture. The museum park, called Ancient Siam, occupies over 200 acres and forms the shape of Thailand. It holds the title for the world's largest outdoor museum. It features 116 replicas of Thailand's famous monuments and landmarks. Each monument lies at the correct geographic location on the map. The buildings are mostly scaled-down versions, but some are life-size replicas, so it's a great place to see many temples and attractions in one place if time is limited. The replicas are some of the most ancient monuments, and many were destroyed in invasions. Like the former Grand Palace of Ayutthaya, which was destroyed in the Burmese invasion of 1767. Experts from the National Museum were part of the construction, ensuring historical accuracy in all elements of the ancient city.